Upcoming next, we have our passionate and interesting Russian friend. 接下来的嘉宾呢是位风趣可爱且非常富有激情的俄罗斯朋友。在这次 Gmix 上，我相信大家已经看了很多由日本教授带来的各种各样的机器人。而接下来俄罗斯朋友他不会为我们现场展示机器人，可是他要来谈的话题呢，却是和机器人及移动互联网有关的。大家可能会有问号说，日本的朋友们和俄罗斯的朋友们对于机器人及移动互联网的联系会有什么不同的见解呢？但这并不是我最关心的问题，因为这位嘉宾他的名字叫做 Dmitry Grishin， 大家可以在 Google 或百度查一下他的资料。他是俄罗斯访问量最高的网站 Mail.ru 的创始人，是以电子邮件起家的。我就很好奇了，一个以电子邮件起家的这样的商务成功人士，对于智能机器人会有什么样的想法呢？如果大家跟我一样抱有这样的好奇心的话，那我们就首先是有请我们的 Moderator Hackcelerator 的创始人 Cyril Abersweiler， 然后是我们的演讲嘉宾 Mail.ru 的 CEO Dmitry Grishin，Welcome。
Good afternoon, everyone. It's going to be a very interesting topic, and actually pretty amazed to see today and yesterday really robotics and mobile being talked about in the same conference, and very excited to have Dmitry Grishin today with us, very famous entrepreneur, founder of Mail.ru, and also the founder of an investment fund called Grishin Robotics. Dmitry, tell us about you and how did you build Mail.ru, and where you come from.
Thanks, Cyril. Hello, everybody. Mail.ru Group is now one of the Russian biggest internet company. We have more than 100 million users, most of them from Russian-speaking territory, and our key products is communication products like email, social network, instant messaging. And we are also biggest game developer in Russia. And it is like for last 10 years we was focused on Russian speaking audience, and beginning this year we also start to launching our products abroad on the new name called my.com, which will launch in Western countries, in US, in Europe, and this is our new initiatives for internet.
Excellent. And so recently, I think you've launched an investment fund called Grishin Robotics, and it was fairly unusual from people coming from the internet world to pick an eye at robotics. Why are you interested in robotics?
I was passionate about robotics for many years. I studied robotics in university, and I think in early 2000, I thought that it's really two cool things in the world. It's programming and doing internet sites and robotics. But in the beginning of 2000, of course, it was obvious that internet is growing, and I focused my time on internet. But I was always passionate about hardware and robotics, and I'm happy to say that now we see that these two things is more and more close to each other, and I think that robotics technologies and hardware, it can leverage a lot from experience from internet. So these two things became more and more close to each other.
Yeah, everybody loves robots, so you started investing. Could you tell us about the fund? What are the investment criteria? What type of companies are you interested in, and the track record so far?
When we launched in year 2012, like robotics investment company, a lot of people think we are crazy. They will say, "Wow, what kind of robots? It's not possible." But now I see more and more people start to understand what they are doing. Google, as you know, start to buy robotics companies and focus more on robotics. There is other big companies start to think more, and I think one of the key explanation for it is that I think that fundamentally robotics is a very interesting new category, which a lot of people expect to see maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago. But I think that time was not right, and one of the key problems was that cost to build robots and to build robotics company was really high. Let's assume you want to start a robotics company 20 years ago. You need to build robot. Each robot can cost you like $1 million. You need to do a lot of time to do prototype, maybe 3-5 years, and then you need to build big factory to produce it. So it was huge capital intensive, and it was very difficult to do something in robotics. And it was only two categories. It's like industrial robotics with automatic, like auto car companies do, like BMW, Toyota, many others. And I think right now, because of smartphone revolution, situation has changed. Because if you can look on your smartphone, a lot of components of the smartphone is just the same as robots needs. Let's look on the smartphone inside. It has camera, and camera is something very important for robots. And for example, this camera now costs $3-5, and 10 years ago, this camera cost $10,000. Batteries, sensors, processors all became really cheap. So now you can build robots much more cheaper. And I think that smartphone revolution helped a lot to bring robots to much more massive situation. Batteries also. Batteries is a very important part of robots, and it's also make a lot of investment in batteries because of smartphones. So this changed. I think the other important thing is that prototypes became much easier. Because of 3D printers, you can now do prototyping much more quicker. And I think one of them, like our mission, which we see for robotics, is bring internet culture to hardware and to robotics. Why? Because historically, all hardware companies was, from my perspective, was very slow. They're like slowly doing prototypes, maybe many years before getting some feedback from users, and they, how to say, more focused on what type of things they are building, but not on request of users. And it's very important to bring this kind of culture to hardware and robotics companies. You need to interact quickly, try to build prototypes, see user feedback. Is it not work? Change it a lot, and more this kind of stuff. And I see that globally right now, more and more internet entrepreneurs start to start robotics and hardware companies. And I think one of the most important things right now, and I think one of the most important lesson from our speech, I think, is that right now you can start hardware and robotics companies. You can have 3-5 engineers. You have funding maybe $50,000 or $100,000, and it's right now possible to start a robotics company, which is fundamental change. It was not possible 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was chatting with Nolan Bushnell, the founder of Atari, and he actually attempted to build robots back in the 80s. There are some fantastic pictures online where you can see him with a whole bunch of home robots that essentially never really saw the light of the day or never been bought at because they were too expensive. And then I still remember from my youth in Rocky movies, you know, they had that giant robot that was showing up, and you know, nothing for 20, 30 years. And so as you mentioned, the prototyping tools have evolved. And I think another important element is also in computer vision, first the camera, all the algorithm that allow robots to become more autonomous or work together are really coming to fruition today. So technology is really gathering and really about to create amazing companies. So tell me about robotics companies. You know, what kind of companies did you invest in? What are they doing?
You know, first of all, I think a very general definition of robots, people think like humanoids robots. I think it's absolutely wrong definition. And I think that robotics, it's combination of nice hardware plus smart software, and can be everything. It can be like different kind of robots, and it should not look like humans. This is very important. First thing, when we're looking on the company, we think that robots and consumer robotics, particularly where we focus on, should be like nice looking. It's very important. Nobody will buy ugly robots. You should really remember it. If you want to build a good robotics company, you should understand that robots is consumer electronic device. It should look beautiful and nice. It's first important criteria which we are usually looking on our companies. Second important thing is that we believe that to make robotics affordable for many people on the world, price should be realistical. It's very difficult to sell robots which cost $100,000 and believe you will sell, I don't know, millions of them. We think that like price of average notebook, like $2,000–3,000, this is where like robotics devices should be focused on. And this is where price, where people can be afford this type of products. And for example, one of our company called Double Robotics, which create nice telepresence robots, they cost to $2,500. They are very nice looking, and it's allow you to put robot in your office. And for example, in Beijing, and when you in Silicon Valley or in Moscow, see what's happening, talk with the people. And we believe that telepresence robots is one of the big category for growing. The other important thing is that, as I mentioned earlier, entrepreneurs should focus on quality of product and particularly on the problem what they are solving. I saw many companies when they say, okay, we have super nice robot hand that you can, and when you ask what exactly you will do and why you doing this, who will buy it, people don't have an answer. So I think it's very important to think about what kind of problem your robot will be solved, and does customers are ready to buy this robot for this price, because this is very general mistake. The other important thing, and I think this is where we see more and more challenging areas, is that once you build prototype, you also need to understand how to make massive production. And I think that two particular categories of knowledge is very important. First, how to build mass products, and China help a lot. Pretty much all our company which we invest do production in China and work very closely with Chinese friends and to understand how do production. The other thing is to understand how to make sales. And you know, it's very interesting mistake which we saw, that usually when internet entrepreneurs coming to robotics or hardware or wearable devices, they think like internet, that you build product, sell it, and forgot about it. But customers can say found some mistake, they want to return you back, and if you have not make beautiful products, all your customers will just send your product back. And customer support, it's also very important components of pretty much every hardware company. This is very important things. And in terms of, so we not focus on particular one country to invest, we look globally. And we see many interesting companies in United States. I think in United States, particular two territory doing really well for robotics and hardware companies is Silicon Valley and the Boston area. It's where like MIT and Harvard is located. We see more and more companies start to develop in China, which is really good. And they not only start from copying what others are doing, but they start to find some new interesting ideas and products. And we see some companies in Europe, particularly France and Germany.
Okay. And since we're at a mobile conference, I think there are very interesting questions to be asked. And in fact, yesterday we saw one of the Japanese crew talking about the robot smartphone. I know that Double Robotics is using essentially a smartphone or a tablet as the brain of the device. And another company that you backed called Sphero is taking a different approach, where the phone is used as a remote control to the device. So which one is going to win? Will the phone disappear? Will the phone become a brain? Will the phone become just a remote control?
I think all of us you mentioned, but definitely smartphone revolution helped a lot for robotics, because as you mentioned, smartphone, it's become like universal remote control for the robots. For example, if you want to build robot 10 years ago, you need to build robot and some kind of remote control. Now you don't need to build remote control, all remote control inside of your smartphone. So you can see it, you can press, you can get a lot of information. The second thing that we see is that a lot of robotics and technology company use smartphone as companion, OS brain, wearable devices, robots. It's pretty much everywhere use smartphone as a brain, and it's very important. Why? Because you can focus on particular feature which you are doing and not focusing on processor, memory, this kind of stuff. And smartphone company continue to innovate and help you. So you leverage growth of smartphones for your business. And this is important. And yes, in terms of you mentioned Sphere, we just announced our investment company called Robotics, which are doing very interesting category of devices which we call connected play. And I think this is several companies which do the similar thing. It's like Ankid, Robotics, and the idea is that they try to combine mobile gaming experience on smartphones with physical toys and physical devices. And we think is combining these two things together make gaming much more fun. And we believe that this particular connected play category will be grow really fast. So you can for example have each of us have a robot ball. We can do some competition. We can do some gaming together, and this is where we believe you can get advantage of both worlds. You have advantage of mobile game development, and you have knowledge and understanding of physical goods and physical world, which make gaming much more fun.
And another interesting thing I think that it adds is that it allows really companies to have different business models and monetize through apps and another means, which is very welcome for hardware startups in general that cost money. So maybe another topic in robotics is generally artificial intelligence. I don't know, across all the companies you've invested in, what is the place of artificial intelligence, which is kind of a bloated word in the technology world and in robotics?
You know, by the way, to mention your previous statement in terms of business models, I think that you're absolutely right, and we see a lot of, a lot of robotics and hardware and wearable companies start from very simple business model. Let's create device and sell to consumers. But now we see more and more like evolution of business model. For example, some companies think that, okay, let's not sell the device, let's rent device. Or maybe let's sell device with zero margin, so it's just like the price of building this device, and make money on some extra features like monthly subscription or some gaming additional features. And we see that more and more this type of business model became much more variations, and it of course makes robotics more accessible, which are very important. In terms of what you said about artificial intelligence, I think it's very important, especially computer vision part is a very focused area of a lot of robotics companies. But still, I think that most important for hardware and wearable devices is just think not about technology, think about what problem you are solving, and then decide what kind of products and technologies you need. And one other important trend which we see in hardware development, that if you remember in software, we all start from building software and writing everything by ourselves. Later, people understand that many components of software became similar. So there is some companies like databases or web services which became like building blocks for other software. And we start to see the same happening in hardware world. So more and more companies start to build like platforms or components which make robots much more easy and much more accessible. And of course, evolution of business models like Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter and Indiegogo make huge change in mindset, where you can not only fundraise money, but you can do preliminary sales, which are very important, and you can check the market. This is also a very important part.
Yeah. Obviously, you come from the software world and had big success with Atari. A lot of acquisitions lately in the hardware space and robotics altogether came from software companies like Google and Facebook. Will Mel.ru ever have its own hardware?
We'll see, but definitely I think this trend which you mentioned is more and more involved. We see that software companies start to understand that robotics and hardware can help to build absolutely new type of products, which was not possible before. And also we see that the best hardware companies and robotics companies is where you have a lot of smart software. And because big companies like Google, Facebook, Mail.ru and other have a lot of experience of building interesting and smart software, they can leverage this experience to build new robotics products. And also we think that internet and software really change a lot of things we are doing. How we search information, how we communicate to each other, but still it was small part of our life. There is a lot of big part of offline world which was not touched by technology. And I think that robotics is the way when you use internet technology to touch real world. This is a very important thing, and I think you will see more and more internet companies will look in this direction.
Thank you. And one final question, since we are in China, what are you doing in China?
You know, I think there is several important things. First, we believe that a lot of innovation happen not only in the United States as people think. A lot of people think that all innovation happen only in the United States. This is, believe me, it's not truth. And we think that it's very important for entrepreneurs to learn what's happened globally, and particularly in these countries like China, which are a lot of passionate entrepreneurs here. And I just read in news that it looks like next year China became the biggest world economy, which is really big change for the global world. And I think it's very important to learn what's happening here. And the other thing is that we think there is a lot of business models which was invented not in the United States but in China or in Russia. Like, for example, free-to-play games. This is people exist a long time in China and Russia, and I think we are just leading the world in terms of interesting developments in this sphere. So it's very important to learn globally.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, please bring a round of applause for Dmitry. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.